Hello, friends, and welcome to our Thursday game of After the Fire, Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, tabletop campaign. I am joined by two of our cast tonight for bit of return from Marzia to Fox Hollow and Bryar staking out Ironwood, what's the word? The port there in the little town. But yeah, let's have a quick check in, and then we can start the show. Charlie, you're back.
I'm back.
Hello.
I'm retiring to my chalet in the mountains. Jason's taking a stroll down the boardwalk. We're living our best lives here in Westeros, far removed from any of this drink throwing, boat child throwing, friend under bus. Oh wait, hang on, we might still do that bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that.
But yeah, I'm super excited to be back. I had a sudden panic earlier. I was like, I'm going to do something terrible this game, and I'm going to regret it. So I'm very curious to see what that might be. That isn't that I decided something. I just had one of those like anti-deja vu moments, where I haven't done it yet, but I know I'm going to.
Is that Marzia's energy? I mean, it tracks, I think.
I had a little green sight moment of flames.
Yeah.
Trauma.
Do the choices take you by surprise then?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I think I know what I'm going to do, and then I change my mind about 6 times in the week. And then it comes to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, apparently that's what I'm doing. All right, here we go.
Happens when I don't remember what my NPCs are like, I think. I had a little bit of a moment earlier where I was like, oh yeah, I got to play Ellery later. What, he was just some bland teenager, wasn't he? I don't
Oh,
remember
he's
what
a
he's...
good boy. He's an Angie boy.
Angie,
Just play
Angie.
Maria as a boy, and you've
Yeah.
got Ellery. Right,
Yeah.
really mad the dad's dead, thinks the world's very unfair, gonna prove themselves, armed with sharp stabbing implement.
Might be a good little match there, you know.
I was thinking something along these lines. But anyway.
Cool. All right. Oh yeah, we'll see what unfolds tonight then when we get into the session. And Jason is with us again. Hello, sir. How are you doing? You all right this week?
I'm doing pretty all right. Can't complain. Got just a boatload of things going on my end with things falling into place with projects aside, and just a whole bunch of fun things going on behind the scenes. But as it stands right now, happy to be here once again. 50% of the cast represented here. Totally confident in my decision making this session and last session, and indeed all the sessions beforehand. I have no regrets, no doubts, and no remorse. But
I feel like Bryar's theme song is "I Did It My Way." Regrets.
Yeah.
I have a few to mention.
Yeah. I'm not worried at all. I got 9 dragons. I'm fine. But as it stands, now happy to be here, happy to be back, and looking forward to seeing what the port town of Ironwood actually has on offer. Hopefully no death?
Hopefully. Cool. All right. Well, quick socials and stuff. You can check us out at Follow Black Cats around the internet, so Twitter and here on Twitch and stuff. We play this every Thursday if you're watching on YouTube, so please do try and catch us live if you can, 8 p.m. GMT, or that is at some point Eastern, depending on the time zone. 3 at the moment. Yeah, there we go. You're not confused me. I was watching a VOD earlier. That's what confused me. We were talking about the time shift. But yeah, I mean, you know, we're going for 10-ish episodes, so we've still got a couple to go because we've still got the fight at Blackmont we're setting up for, and then I want a kind of resolution episode as well, because there's the big battle is always like one of the penultimate episodes, right? And then they go into one of the final ones to kind of close a couple of things off and then kind of set up the next season or whatever. We also had a chat as a cast, didn't we? And said we wanted to carry on. But we're also thinking about a bit of a time skip too. So we're going to figure that out and we'll see where the characters are headed and what new characters we bring in too. So that will be very, very exciting. I think the cabin fevery ness is getting to me a little bit now. Like I've just had one of those like non-days where I'm just like... So Be a slow burn tonight, but hopefully we can get into some like.
That said,
cool
Sam,
after
you have
fire
been
energy.
very busy in your cabin fever working on the spy game. I have seen
I
hints and
have.
whispers.
I have. I've been frustrating myself with keeping track of word counts and a little frustrated at the lack of progress. Not to say it hasn't been like haven't made progress. Like I've got some sections done and stuff. Just when you've got thousands of words to write, you're just like. I used to hate writing essays as a kid, and now my job is reading and writing essays. Fucking brilliant. Well done, Sam.
You know, surprise, surprise, operating in a crisis situation just tends to be a little bit more sluggish, but we plug through nonetheless.
Cool.
Somehow.
All right. Awesome. So we are at episode 9, which I have entitled 1001.
M&M's in my trailer?
Yeah, only the blue ones. Speaking of, we are going to start with Marzia as she returns to Fox Hollow. Now, Marzia has been on the road with essentially, I guess, a carriage follower, or a kind of warband follower of Prince Maekar's. She's been traveling with Ellery Peak as well. And you've been traveling together a fair bit, I would imagine, as two of the camp followers, as the army marches south. You split off before Prince Maekar decided to head south down the Prince's Pass, as he was going to kind of approach the Blackmonts from the east, so that he'll hang south around that red mountain range that's just to your east, and then go that way. You, along with Sir, or Lord Ellery, probably not Sir at this point, have made the journey directly east from the top of the Prince's Pass to Fox Hollow instead. Marzia is here to see to any troops that she can provide for Prince Maekar, and also to check on the status of the house, as she's left it for probably at least a couple of weeks now, although we're always a bit timey-wimey. As she does so, or as you approach the keep and have it now in view in the distance, you ride along with Ellery, and he has insisted on carrying the tarred head of the singer that was captured at Starpike, a spy for Lady Desmera Redwine, the Lord of Whispers for Highgarden. He, you will have learnt already, intends to present it to the court of Highgarden and demand answers. But he escorts you down to Fox Hollow, at least. A kind of strange show of chivalry from a young lord. Maybe a little misplaced, seeing as you have a contingent of your own household guard escorting you through the Reach. Nonetheless, you approach up the steep road, the dirt track towards Fox Hollow Keep, and over the bridge, the small stone bridge that covers and lets you traverse the spring of the river that heads south down the Red Mountain Pass, and then in kind of towards the Arbor and the Redwine Straits. And finally, you see guards on the road who are indeed checking for travellers, and as they see your approach and your standard, give you... I know, is this home? Is this really... They're checking the road? I learned my lesson. And they give you short bows as they stand guard and stand to attention as you pass by with the Hollow Hearts and Lord Ellery. Greeting you at the keep's big oaken doors outside is Sir Babblebrook, and a couple of sergeant at arms, I would imagine as well. A couple of maids too. A stable boy also to take care of the horses as well. And as you dismount, Babblebrook gives you a low bow and welcomes you to Fox Hollow.
It's good to see you, Babblebrook. And may I introduce the Lord Peak? Lord Peak, this is Babblebrook. Sir Babblebrook, my master at arms.
Very well met, my lord. And he bows, and you can see a kind of confused expression on his face as he's in his old age and his slight forgetfulness is trying to place which Lord Peak this is and which one he's confusing from history.
I think Marzia will kind of cross to greet him more generally, kind of lay a hand on his shoulder and smile, take a look around. Things seem well here. And then she'll lean in and say, this is Gorman Peak's son.
That's great.
And kind of like the same movement. It's very nice at Gorman Peak's son.
It's that, that political aid thing. This is so and so. Oh, charmed. Yeah. So he mutters a kind of course, and then continues. Yes, we have done quite well here. The scouts have been. We have continued to train the troops upon the instruction of Sir Alfred. I must admit, my lady, perhaps we should speak inside quickly in the solo, or perhaps somewhere else. The scouts have seen something that maybe you should be aware of.
Very well. My lord, would you care to take drink and relax a little in our hall? This is Fox Hollow. She kind of addresses Ellery, make sure he's looked after.
Ellery
kind of implies to the maids, look after him or I'll kill you.
Yeah. Ellery gives his surroundings a kind of like teenage unimpressed look. I think
this is it. Where's your castle?
Yeah. He'll have grown up in like 3 different keeps, like just traveling around and stuff. And this is essentially we call it a keep, is essentially a hall, like a medieval hall, right? So it's it's got a couple of stories to it and everything, but he's kind of like, he's looking a lot more at the kind of mountain scenery as well, particularly up close, but then kind of the keep, he's a bit like very well, my lady. And he walks into the hall as Sir Babblebrook escorts you to the solar.
And I think Bryn's handed off to Braith to be kind of settled out of the sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's had a long day too.
Yeah, so she takes him upstairs to your quarters, and then you pass through the Great Hall and then into the back of the keep and then into the ground floor solar, with the light coming in from the window at the far end. There behind the desk, taking care of some stewardship, is the Lady Rosanna Crane, your grandmother, and she greets you lovingly as you enter and wasn't expecting you as quite so soon, although she had heard the guards and Sir Babblebrook were going to be greeting someone.
Grandmother, so good to see you, and you look well.
We are well. Don't fret, child. We are very well.
Good. A lot's happened in the past few weeks. I have much to tell you, but I'm told you also have news for me.
My lady, Sir Babblebrook starts. The scouts have spotted a royal party heading south down the Prince's Pass. Reports and rumour speculates that it is Prince Maekar heading south, either to Dawn or perhaps even to the Blackmonts, given the circumstances. I wanted to make sure you were aware, given that you return here, and perhaps the boys, Sir Alfred, Sir Rob, returning.
Sir Babblebrook, I am quite aware. of His Grace's actions. Let me tell you a little of what I have been doing these past weeks. As you know, we set out for Ironwood to retrieve Marzia. However, it occurred to me on the way that it was more proper and probably more in our interest to reach out to His Grace for his assistance and to inform him that we would be retrieving Marzia. And it was on the way to Summer Hall that we found His Grace, already marching south with the host. I had paused at Starpike for shelter. The sun had been rather cruel as we'd crossed the Dornish Mountains. And his lordship, Lord Ellery, has been a very kind host to us. Prince Maekar is of the belief that much of the wrongs done to our family and his were the actions of Lord Blackmont, and it is Lord Blackmont that should be duly punished. And it was as such end the saga that we are enduring, and of course clear Maria's reputation. And what's more, with the traumas and disruption of this region, it's his hope that it will prevent any Dornish uprising, any more quarrels between the Reach and Dawn, an end to it all.
Why?
It makes sense, doesn't it?
So Belrook actually just sits down.
Blackmont is the one that took Marzia from Summer Hall. He dragged a spy there and absconded with my daughter into the mountains. Sent no word to me of the matter. Sent no word to anyone as far as I know. It was only because Oliver found him that, well, she's safe. At least I hope she's safe. I've sent Alfred on with Rob and someone else to retrieve her from the Ironwoods. We're not sure what is happening there. But Oliver had been so hopeful before he died. And it's only right they have their son's halberd and the news of it.
We not received any word from the boys? Asks your grandmother.
I've not. I'd rather hoped that perhaps you would have if they'd have stopped somewhere with a raven. But of course, our lack of a maester, maybe the birds can't even find us here in the mountains.
No, we haven't heard. We haven't heard anything from there, unfortunately.
Have you heard from Highgarden?
We have, yes. So we thought that we'd either have it read to you now.
Another small note regarding Highgarden. It appears they're sending spies around in the guise of mummers and bards. One such person was found at Starpike.
Oh. Very interesting. This, my lady, we received from Lady Elenya Tyrell.
The Lord's mother?
Lady Marzia Greenmont, I hope this letter finds you well and Fox Hollow safe. Your accusations of Lord Alistair Oakhart trouble me dearly, and I hope that your husband is safe. What troubles me more, however, is your absence at court, given how strong a charge you lay House Oakhart and this court of the Reach. While I personally understand you wrote to the court about this, the necessity to involve the crown above your liege speaks to an arrogance I did not know you had in you. Indeed, your prolonged absence from this court must be rectified if you are to gain any support from the course of affairs you have set into motion. I wish you justice and peace, Lady Elenya Tyrell.
And?
Well, that's it.
Did you send any reply?
No.
Good.
The ravens are still here. We can if you like.
The Reach are not our allies, and they've proven this more than once. I do not trust Highgarden, nor its manipulators in court. Have they sent word regarding my accusation? I did, of course, send my parents.
Not yet. No word of the whatever result might be. I wish that you could read this yourself. This is from Lady Mara. I saw who'd sent it, and I didn't actually read it yet.
Maybe later. We have guests.
Very well, my lady.
If his lordship seems rested or restless, would you invite him to join me in the Godswood? Also, is the Lady Kiri around, the blacksmith?
She works her forge almost every single day. I believe
Have her
she's
attend me
there
in the
now.
Godswood as well, please.
Of course.
Everything seems so well here, but there is so much to do.
Of course. And Sir Alfred inquires to that exactly itself.
Babelrook.
Yeah, sorry. I was reading a bit there.
Okay.
As he's been training the soldiers that you have, the scouts, the guerrilla fighters, done upon the instruction of Sir Alfred and by some of the kind of techniques that he's imparted Babelbrook with. I think you have an opportunity here, particularly in speaking mechanically, to upgrade someone's veterancy. It takes a couple of points of power, and you have one spare. You also have a glory, which can be invested. So it could even be that we decide to, or you decide to upgrade one of those holdings. So the Yeomen of the Mountain, so the archers, veteran archers, are veteran already. They could be upgraded to elite. It's the highest they can go. The couriers are trained scouts, so they could actually be upgraded to veterans. We have the Greenmont devoted, so we have the guerrilla fighters who are trained. They could be upgraded.
I think
we do have the Green Garrison as well.
No, they can stay the Green Garrison.
Then
we're just not going to use them for anything
the Green
ever.
Guard.
They're our little training camp.
And then the Hollow Hearts, obviously, but they've been more on maneuver.
Yeah.
You don't have to, of course. The glory can be invested in something else if you just want to bump up a resource.
I would like to think that the archers kind of deserve the upgrade. They've seen 2 major skirmishes, and they are Alfred's unit, essentially.
Yeah.
I would imagine like everyone's kind of undergoing training, but I think they're the ones most likely to have made an advancement in the time.
It's nice that it was Alfred's instructions to Babelbrook to train them, and then he's training the archers more. He's showing their sergeant arms, like the techniques that Alfred was talking about, and they're kind of getting a knack for it now. So with that comes a skill increase. I don't know if it's just one or if it's a couple, actually. So at the moment, they've got agility 3, awareness 3, and marksmanship 5. I'm going to cap things generally at 5, I think, in terms of actual units, even though they are
Sam,
elite.
I genuinely have very little understanding of how they work. So I'm not sure what to tell you.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, they are basically like your ability scores. So they do affect things differently. So the couple of options that you have in terms of you can raise agility or you could raise awareness. Agility would improve their range damage, while their awareness would improve their combat defense, and it would also improve any like
Let's
awareness
improve their
tests
agility. I like to think they've been trained to be like sniper elite monsters. Like the whole point is they don't get hit, right? They're archers. They're meant to be out the back, out the fucking way.
Yeah.
They do their thing, and then everyone else goes in.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah.
Grandmother, I've had a moment to consider the Lady Elena's letter. Inform her that both of my husbands are dead. Thank her very much for her inquiry as to their health, and that I was attending to the needs of my family. And should she further doubt my dedication and assume it to be arrogant, she can address all inquiries to Prince Maker. We will be attending Highgarden when we are done with our business.
Oof. Yeah, absolutely. She gets that down, and she sends one of the ravens off. As there are two letters here for you.
I imagine she picks up the Elena letter even though she can't read it, and she just kind of shakes her head at it and tuts, and then puts it back down.
Nice.
And then she picks up Mara's letter. I'll keep this with me for now, but later. How are the farmers and the lands?
It's been a peaceful couple of weeks. No complaints.
No further sickness?
No.
No raiders?
No, nothing. Nothing to speak of in that regard.
And have the small folk been attending the Godsword?
Some have taken slowly to it. Others still have their new gods.
Gods old and new watch us all. They have their ways and we ours. We should have a feast when this is all over. A celebration of the summer. It's very hot. She's like complaining. She's had enough.
What I would give for the cool breeze of Red Lake.
Unfortunately, far too good a view of Old Oak.
That too, I suppose.
I'm thankful to you for staying, and for both of your stewardships here.
You're very welcome, but the longer I stay here, the more I fear, unfortunately, that your father will not be very impressed.
Grandmother, when have you ever let a man tell you anything?
They do eventually get their way.
All men seem to desire is to quarrel and to fight. At least this is a simple thing to quarrel and fight about.
You do have to pick your battles from time to time.
What a luxury to have a choice.
I am getting tired as well, Marzia.
I know. Just a little longer.
What do you need to do?
Get the men ready to help His Grace. Tidy up my affairs with Highgarden. Complete my promise to return Myria home. Protecting this house is my life's work. Once this battle is done, no matter the outcome, Grandmother, you should go home. You're right.
Thank you.
Cranes don't fare well in the mountains.
You intend to take the entire standing army?
I don't quite know. I'd rather hoped Babblebrook might have some counsel on the matter. While I have patched up many a man, I have never really understood what it takes to put yourself in the way of such trauma.
I don't wish to pry, but what kind of relationship do you have to Prince Maekar? This meeting that you've had, and your,
He is our ally.
of course, is the crown, but alright, he took Weirland.
As a ward, yes, because the Lord Blackmont abducted my daughter from his home. And we were driven into a rebellion which was clearly ill-thought and has cost this family nearly everything. And then again driven into one by ill-tempered young men.
Right, well then. I'm not saying anything. I wonder what he will get out of this. If this house is to help him.
I think he seeks some reparation for what has been done to his pride. Doubt there's little more to it than that. But I do believe the king desires peace, and desires an end to the skirmishes and quarrels. And Maekar is set on making a display. I don't like it, but I believe this could be the end to it.
Right, well.
And he asked me to help him, personally, to stand with us, and how could I stand against it?
No, of course, I'm not saying that.
As you say, he has Weirland. And he has promised that Marzia will be free to return home. And hopefully to rest, which I'm sure is all that she could possibly want. Cannot imagine what she has endured, being dragged into everything at Vulture's Roost and then through the mountains. We walked there for just a few days, and half the men seemed fit to drop. And then at Ironwood with strangers. And no chance for me to send word to her, to let her know that we care or we're thinking of her, or that we're doing what we can. If Alfred and the others have not arrived, she's probably still waiting for Oliver.
They should be there by now, shouldn't they?
I don't know. Not sure how they intended to travel, and they didn't have appropriate horses. I hope they're there now with her. You said we had the ravens.
There is a second raven here. Yes.
Grandmother, you've observed maesters about their work. Could we not send that raven to Ironwood?
There is the slimmest of possibilities we could. Ravens tend to be bound to a certain place, and they home back to their starting location. These ravens are probably the only two ravens in Highgarden intended for Fox Hollow.
Then we shall keep them. I have little more to say to them. Barring that one reply, she can have that much. Marzia, clearly in the fuck the Tyrells kind of mood.
Yeah, and Lady Rosanna presses you to read that letter to you from Mara.
After the Godswood, I promise. I'm afraid I'm already in a poor disposition for anything she might say. And we do have a guest to attend to and so much to do.
Very well. We are going to switch over to Bryar, though, before we move into the Godswood. So Bryar is, I believe, waiting in the Red Rock Tavern. Red Rock being the little port and port town that just neighbours Ironwood Castle. And you sit about the evening. There's not much laughter here, but there is chatter and arguing amongst the small folk about what has happened and what they've heard from the keep. One in particular arguing amongst a group of friends, perhaps traders, having not set off yet from port. It's a kind of first-hand account, it seems. The knights were rabid, foaming at the mouth with words of disloyalty. Armed and armoured, it wasn't long before the household guard was present, and he continues. Another, a woman this time, a barmaid, gossiping to a couple of clients, asking, "Did you hear an attempt was made on Horatio's life?" And then another couple of sailors maybe stood in the corner also speaking. Prince Maron did what he had to do. I mean, he protected us. I'd rather live under this banner of peace than live through a crusade of ancient grudges. And those sometimes muted, sometimes slightly explosive conversations form the kind of atmosphere of the tavern tonight, only a couple of days after it's only still a day or so after the events of the battle. What's your plan here? What are you kind of up to in the moment as well?
Well, and depending upon the time of day, I would either be waiting for Dayra to maybe make an appearance. I think we gave her like maybe a night, maybe two. But
this
if
is the
not,
beginning of that night.
Yeah. So I would just be sort of waiting in the tavern. I would also probably pen a message or a missive of some description, something that I could hand off to the maester and say, "Okay, look, we're here to inform you as well that Sir Oliver is dead." And to, discreetly have it discreetly delivered to Horatio, blah, blah, blah. As he's kind of sitting at the table with whatever bits of parchment and quills he's got, he's trying to think of the wording. He's trying to slave over what exactly to say. It doesn't come natural to him. He just kind of breaks one quill, sets it aside, and just stares at the parchment for a while. Probably just sort of moseying around the tavern.
Sure. As I say, besides the conversations, it's a fairly quiet night for the Red Rock Tavern. There's still a couple of guards kind of coming in and out. And then after a while, there is actually quite a fairly large kind of loud group of them, all off duty, still roughly armoured, but one or two carrying swords at their sides, but otherwise they're just carrying little kind of knives for cutting meat or whatever, as usual. As I say, some of them kind of half armored, some of them have taken off maybe the tabard or such. And they enter, and the atmosphere kind of changes immediately as they kind of suck all of the atmosphere out of the place, and they are that kind of loud group of lads coming in and kind of owning the space, sitting down, taking a table from a couple of customers, a man and a woman who have been kind of pushed aside, move over to a different table, and they all sit down at this trestle and bang their fists on the table for ale and for wine as well. A couple of them have got a expensive taste.
Just sort of pinch the bridge of the nose and just, these are young cats, right? Like, these aren't.
It's a mix. They're probably everything from the kind of, a young, like, My First Guard duty to to like, kind of early middle age.
Disapproving stare, just kind of like probably munching on some dates at this point, because
he's
trying to keep his mind occupied, just sort of watching them.
There's
in a disapproving manner.
All right. There's one younger guy there who just returns the stare.
Just wave to him.
Do you have issue, friend?
Not at all.
Good. Perhaps pay more attention to the thing you are writing.
Have been, but it's not very interesting. I always find folks like you to be more interesting.
And he gets up and rather boisterously shoulders back, now with a flagon of ale that tips and spills as he swaggers towards you. He sets it down and it kind of, how beer will like spill right up, like a little kind of fountain of it, and it splats down on the letter in front of you. And he takes 2 steps into the other side of your trestle table and then sits down and just kind of stares at you there.
Bad draft anyway. Didn't know what I was going to say. Just flick it off the table.
Yeah, it kind of lands limply as this kind of flimsy, sodden bit of parchment.
Could go for another one if you don't mind. And he's going to point to the piece of parchment on the ground to the barkeep, probably.
The barkeep comes over after a kind of tense, like 20 seconds or so. He gives you 1 piece, and he says, "This is my last."
I'll make sure I put it to good use. And that you're well compensated. Smiles and makes sure to hide the parchment on his lap and kind of use his shield as a makeshift table.
Okay. The guy is still sat there, and there's still a presence, certainly an intimidating presence about it, but he's not paying particular attention to what you're doing necessarily. He asks for the barkeep just before he goes, properly, for another round, please. And he gets poured another ale, as do his friends.
Say pleases and thank you. Teach you well here, huh?
Where did they teach you?
They didn't.
You don't sound Dornish.
Well, I don't know if you've looked at me, but I'm not.
The house is descended from the first men. They can be as pale or as dark as anyone.
Fair enough. But I'm as pale as a reacher for a reason. What's your name, then?
God damn it, Jason.
That was me on Monday when Don asked me what that guard's name was. No. Sir Picking a Fight with You is his name.
It's a good name.
So guard 1.
Sir, Sir Dornish Guard 1.
Oh, damn it, Jason. It's a dad joke here, right? I wanted to rebuff you. I just can't think of anything fun, like some dumb and fun to say.
First thing that comes to mind.
As
You know.
usual, the Reacher is overreaching.
Yeah. Yeah, he says that. Fuck it, he's witty. He is now. For a Reacher, you are overreaching. And he takes a couple of gulps, and there's some laughs behind him by his pals, you know.
Whoo. Haven't heard that one before. Just kind of go back to the letter. So you're working for Ironwood?
Pledge my sword to Ironwood.
So you're working for him?
Who do you work for, mercenary?
That's a big word. I prefer sellsword. Well, used to. Now it's guard. Even shorter.
And who do you guard?
Someone very important. Bryar, by the way.
He just nods.
Any particular way your lord prefers to be referred to? I've got... He kind of holds up the parchment at that point. I've got to the Lord Horatio Ironwood. Anything more I should add?
You are writing him a letter.
Person that I'm guarding probably wants me to write a letter for them.
And what is it for?
Business that concerns your lord.
If it concerns my lord, it concerns us. And he looks behind him, and a couple of guards stand up and start to walk over. One of them's got the sword sheathed and has not his sword hand, but has a hand sat on it.
Easy. I'll shift the shield, sort of leaning against my left knee, which I assume is sort of facing out from the table.
Sure.
But within easy reach. Notifying him of a death. In the family.
Whose death and which family?
Kind of weighs the option. Could very well tell you. But it's a rather private matter, I hope you understand. I'm sure that men of your station can keep discretion, though, huh?
And you do get this kind of sterny look, and between them they share a couple of glances as they're not quite sure, like, who should be taking charge of this one or whatever, you know.
It's all right. Sir Oliver Ironwood.
With that name, the three more on the trestle table behind all stand. And it's at this point that the guy with the sword by you actually puts his sword hand on the hilt.
Hey.
On the grip.
If it's any consolation, he's dead. Killed at dinner. Fun times.
Is this true?
Saw it with my own eyes. It's true. Have his halberd to prove it if you really need it.
And you intended to convey this with a letter?
Yes. I thought it most fitting considering the circumstances. Seem to have other things on your mind. And he'll just sort of peer out to what I assume to be a number of rubble piles that are like somewhere nearby.
Well, like we covered last week, like there aren't many. The scorpion bolts like chipped a few bricks out,
fair
but like it wasn't big siege weapon devastation of times, you know. A couple of them do take a look out behind, but maybe roll a persuasion test. Like I want to see if you convince these guards that what you're saying is true, because I think that would certainly mean
Sure.
they would start acting differently.
I ain't hiding nothing. So.
Yeah, right. That's persuasion.
15 with 6.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6.
I'm blown the fuck away. Holy shit, I'm competent.
I think they would need to hear a bit more though. How far would you go into some detail, or what are you willing to kind of afford them, you know?
I'd be willing to afford them. Yeah, I saw it. He was killed at dinner by just this really terrible person. I'd rather not say because of the sensitive nature of it all, but saw him have his halberd on call if I need to bring it up. If you want to bring it to him, hey, that's perfectly fine. But you know, it's just another job on behalf of, and I'd probably give up the fact that I'm with House Greenmont. Like, okay. I'd probably say, look, it's just me with House Greenmont. It's okay. You know, got a couple of friends in town, but they decided to stay somewhere else.
Okay. I think it's the Greenmont thing that like tips them over and gets them a bit more on your side with it, and a bit more believable. So I think essentially what they're going to do is ask for the letter. That they will deliver it.
I haven't done writing it, but sure. Afterwards, I'll share a drink.
Well, he says we have some rounds to make later, and we will return for the letter. Leave it with the barkeep.
Fine. Just pen the rest of the letter.
You will be here tomorrow, yes?
Leaving in the morning. All things being equal, hopefully. But if you need me to stay, and I imagine this nervousness is in character, if you need me to stay, should be here.
Be here tomorrow morning in case we need to speak to you again.
Sure. It's just kind of in over his head. So he's gonna. There's probably like a candle somewhere nearby that he can seal this letter with, right?
Yeah, you can put a basic kind of like white wax seal on it. Like it's not going to be anything special.
Yeah,
it's not going to be sealing wax.
Yeah, no. So I actually have the letter. It's not that long, like at all.
2 sentences.
Literally, to the Lord Horatio Ironwood, your brother Sir Oliver Ironwood is dead, killed at dinner by the Lord Alistair Oakhart, in violation of the laws of hospitality. We bore witness, and now we, the men of Greenmont and Fox Hollow, bear this message to you. End missive.
All right, nice. Okay. All right, so you go about writing that and finishing that off in this part of the evening. Eventually, the guards pretty swiftly, actually, I think, finish up their drinks, and then they all head out as well. A couple of them rebelting tabards and picking up kind of bits and bobs they'd left outside. You can hear kind of spears clanking coming off brick, the mortar from the wall outside and stuff, as they kind of gear up again, basically.
I'll kind of point out to the younger one, probably that he missed a loop in the tabard, just as sort of like a final, it's okay. We're cool.
He looks down and like I don't think he has, but it's just kind of a little fuck you. Like he's got some like fuck you eyes about it. Like what the fuck? Like he checks again. And he's like, no, I haven't. Like
yeah, no,
you know?
Totally fucking with him.
Yeah. So he's need to stop trying to get stabbed. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's jokes. It's just a prank, bro.
Pro tip.
It's just Bants.
Just Bants, man.
All right. Well, let's bounce our way back over to Fox Hollow.
Let's bounce.
Yeah. Okay. So Charlie.
Yes.
You want to bring Ellery Peak to the Godswood.
I do. So,
what kind of environment bonus did you want to try and get from the Godswood itself? So the Godswood is like, this is you've taken this to be more familiar religiously for you, I think, and it's become a very important place for her too. It's also somewhere that a lot of people, particularly those that are pious to the Seven, are a little wary of. Some people are even just superstitious about the weirwoods themselves and the heart trees.
So to Marzia, what she's doing is, to her, this is one of the most formal places because this is the burial place of the last lord, and Oliver as well now too. The gods see here. So to her, this is almost like a mark of respect that she, in her head, that she's going to bring him here. She knows that he will probably have some fear or superstition about it. She's seen that. She's been through that. But this is if we're going to be allies, you should see the Godswood type deal. And it's also, for her, I imagine it's a more private place. She doesn't want to be in the middle of the hall when she has this conversation with him either.
Okay.
So while if there's anyone there, she's not outright dismissing everyone. It's the lady of the house has shown up with Lord Ellery plus whomstever.
Yeah.
He would kind of want with him.
And
hopefully Kyrie will show up too.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if I was really going for like any environmental bonus. I did consider it, but it's more.
I think there's a couple in there though. Like I think there could be a technique bonus from inviting him into what could be a more like private thing. I'm willing to give you bonus dice if you're using that as kind of a tech. Not it's one of the explicit techniques in the book, but like as a kind of technique. It's like, this is a very private place to me. That kind of stuff. That kind of role play. I think I'd reward with bonus dice specifically. You don't need a composure bonus, so.
Oh, but Sam.
No. Not affected by a particular technique, because I put some advanced rules together for people watching it though.
Yeah, I think like if anything, it'll be like maybe an occasional, if she references it and it goes over to him why she's brought him here, that might help his disposition maybe towards her in this place.
I think that's the cut and thrust of the intrigue. So I think that's the kind of result you're looking for, isn't it? I think. I'll give you like a +1 to your intrigue defense, as this is a place that you feel more comfortable in.
And I guess she, like, in her head, the gods watch her here.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. It's like Miria's cohort thing, a bit. Like having an ally here. It's just only your allies kind of watch from afar. Or
I'll put that in defense bonus, and then I'll take it out when we're done.
Yeah, perfect. Because they've got that little space on the sheet. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Let's roll.
Status breeding.
Yeah, let's roll breeding this time around. It's your Godswood and your court and everything, but I think in this circumstance,
I've got no dice in breeding, but I do get a +2 because I'm head of house. So
You-
16 total.
Cool. And he's got a 13. You do actually have a keep dice in your screen, in your frame.
Good to know. Thank you so much.
Just for your information.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So kick it off, Miss Thing.
My lord, I thought you would like to come and see the Godswood. It's been a secret of the Greenmonts for a long time, but I've made no secret of my support of the belief in the old and the new gods, and my belief that they do watch this mountain and this family. I also brought you here because this is where Lord Lucas and Sir Oliver lay. 2 men who have contributed to much of the quarrels and much of the things that we find ourselves caught up in now. Some with right reason and some with right intention. And she kind of presents the 2 mounds and the low kind of fallen tree that's been worn into a bench of sorts.
He's just kind of munching casually on some bread, and it's a little unbecoming of the situation.
So yeah, it's trees and lumps. What do you want me to do about it?
He's a little bit like that, but he also asks with half a mouthful, Lord Lucas?
My husband, he was a friend or an ally of your father's. I
don't remember father ever talking about him.
Your father was a very busy man and had a great deal of allies. And here we are, just up in the mountains. It's certainly not a castle, I know. But it is rather peaceful here. I hope for it to be peaceful for a long while. Leave the excitement to other people. But there is something else that you should know about Greenmont, my lord, and something that maybe you don't yet. We have a rather deep mine in these mountains, a very talented swordsmith. And I was hoping that as a thank you for your assistance at Starpike, I might offer you a sword from our forge.
Thank you. Alright, why don't you roll for me persuasion bargain, probably.
Okay.
Or if you don't actually want anything substantially back right now, then
I would say more like a charm.
Charm.
It's kind of, sweeten the pot type deal.
yeah,
Rather
sure.
than I have no bonus dice in charm.
I'll give you a bonus dice for the graveyard chat.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, he is going to be considering this round, so he's not going to make an action.
15.
I think so, yes. 2 degrees.
And charm is based
Persuasion's,
on persuasion, so 4, so 8.
8
total.
altogether. Oof. Nice, okay. Cool. He's going to take that. My lady, I appreciate that. My intent when you depart here for Blackmont and to meet up with His Grace is to head straight to Highgarden. I understand that His Grace would like me to be present at his siege, and that he would do me the honor of allowing me to command a small group of his forces. But this intrusion into my house can't stand. I must deliver this Mama's head to this Lady Whisperer.
I quite agree. Highgarden's intrusions into our households are not welcome nor wanted. And I have an address to make there myself, but my lord, if I may, I do not believe it wise to decline the invitation His Grace made to you.
But I could ask you. You seem to have his favour, and I would hope that you could speak on my behalf and perhaps bring him round.
I believe you think too highly of the favour I carry. If I carried such favour, my lord, I'd like to think I'd request that there not be such a skirmish at Blackmont, that instead we all went to Highgarden.
Perhaps, but this troubles me, and we need to resolve it.
I do agree. And I have a letter that I am sending to Highgarden in response to a missive they sent me. It was most rude and, frankly, quite insulting, beyond simple rudeness.
He kind of looks in a different direction. I was like, I was just doing it as I was playing. He just kind of bored, like,
It's a ridiculous place surrounded by flowers. All they do is listen to their mamas sing, fill their faces with sweet things.
Listen to their whispers
Terribly
too.
boring. Whispers indeed.
Would you speak to him, my lady?
I fear when next I speak to His Grace it would be too late, my lord. And, my lord, it may not reflect well at all for you to be absent and to favour Highgarden at this time. That is how it would appear. That you respect their court more than His Grace's invitation.
While his grace is of course the royal family and such, I was always taught that my Lord Paramount was the most important person. My liege, who I owe my lands to.
The king is most important. And what's more, Summerhall is far closer to Starpike than Highgarden is.
Well, now you speak tactically as if we were going to war. Well, I guess we are right now, but
I speak of how you might benefit better of a good neighbourship with His Grace, and how Highgarden likes to be on their own, the other side of mountains, surrounded by their flowers, doing very little but whispering to each other.
not what I heard from a couple of your guards talking about a letter was read.
Whispers. Should you like to see the letter, my lord?
Just kind of raises his lip and shakes his head.
Quite.
Bothered.
I do think you are right that the matter of sending a spy to a private household, a trusted household, is an appalling and dirty tactic. But my lord, I have learnt over these past months as regent here, people don't care what you say, people care what you do. Your people will care what you do, my lord.
Then do this for me so that I might have some retribution in Highgarden. Perhaps a little bit for the both of us. Alright, Charlie, let's roll another round.
Yeah.
This is straight up influence for you as well now?
Yeah, sure
Yeah,
is.
I'm going to go in my 2 bonus dice there, I think.
And I have dutiful, so if it's...
Convince.
Convince, intimidation, or seduction.
So, 2 bonus but 1 penalty die, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Oof.
And persuasion, convince for Marzia. 1 bonus dice.
So, I just rolled, but we'll resolve yours first, obviously. 12 is 1 degree of success.
And that's 5 because it's will for convince.
He is going to take a point of frustration.
Okay, Sam, meta question.
Yeah.
On the timeline,
Yeah.
the plan with Maker is to get the troops and march straight to Blackmont, right?
Yeah.
Is that the plan? Okay.
Well, I scored 9. I don't know if that actually reaches your
Nope.
intrigue defense. Well, there we go then. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. The role play certainly reflects the role. He's like not very practiced at this, and he's just straight up like, "Go on,
Please just go and tell him I don't
Look,
want to go.
This is just what I want to do. Can you just do the thing?"
I've got this head, I've got this plan. I don't want to go and play with Prince Maker.
Yeah.
He's boring and he's old and he's
I don't wanna
mean.
Do it.
Like father,
Made my
like son.
arms hurt. Although that was very mean and it was very hard to sit through that scene. Okay.
Yeah. Good old Greg. Yeah, sorry, new round. Okay, so yeah, he did ask. Oh, so okay, so he gets more frustrated. Let's think. He huffs and he walks towards the heart tree to take a look. As you turn, watch him go.
Oh, I have an idea. Okay.
The tree itself is in a kind of a quiet kind of wail. It looks like, not a scream, but just a sad, kind of quiet mopiness. Lament. That's a good word. Yeah. But yeah, like Ellery doesn't seem afraid of it. He just seems like this is just weird and manky. You know, he's kind of looking in the mouth and the eyes, the kind of the carved features of the tree.
That tree's seen a lot of things, my lord. It's seen a great tawny knight's guts pulled from his body, draped on its arms. It's seen 2 children born, which I can tell you is just as bloody.
Which tawny knight? What?
Sir Oliver. And she indicates the mound. He was known as the Dawn in Exile or the Black Lance, depending on the mood of the day. He won the last tourney at Old Oak. And he'd won many more before that. He was a great rider. Rode a sand steed, because of course he did. He's Dornish.
Yeah.
That tree also saw me covered in the blood of a man whose tongue had been cut from his mouth so that he couldn't tell any more secrets.
What?
The young Lord Tarly, that's my mistake. The young Lord Tarly and the young Lord Oakheart. They took prisoners from me that they'd found, that my men had found in the mountains. And they kept them from us. And one night, there was a terrible wail. And I went running to find out what had happened. And there, the captain of these captured prisoners, his tongue had been cut out. Rather than allowing them to face proper punishment and justice to be sent to the wall, they'd silenced this man. And as he was bleeding and gasping for air, and she's like, Lauren, she's going for the full drama. She's like, all right, this kid likes gross shit. I can do this. I have seen so many disgusting things. I'm going to give him nightmares.
Nice.
Okay. And she describes this man's last gasping breath and his accusation. And you know what I felt as I heard those words, as he tried to tell me who had done it? I was furious. I was so angry. How dare people take my prisoners? How dare people take anything from me? How dare these people commit murder on my land? I know what you did to those men who failed your father. I know how you feel about that mama. Believe me, Lord Ellery, I understand. And I've made promises before this tree. Promises not to fail the old gods, to bring justice and vengeance for the crimes committed against the people on their land. And I know that's what you want too. You want what is right. And that is part of what Prince Maekar is doing, setting things right. And that is why you must see this battle. You must understand it all. And then we will go to Highgarden together, and we will make what is right very evident to everyone there. Besides, a few more days will just bring more decay, will it not? And shouldn't they see what an ugly thing they have done?
I want them to recognize him.
I don't think they will. They don't care about anyone but themselves. That's what I have learned these past few months. People that I thought would be true allies have been treacherous, murderous, and vile. And that's why it's my hope, Lord Ellery, that we can be true friends and allies and defend both of our houses. I know that you will be a strong leader for House Peak. And I can offer you only the lessons I have learnt trying to be a leader here, ensuring that my sons can grow up. And perhaps you will be able to teach them too, the things that I can never imagine teaching them. How to use a sword, for example. Your arms were very strong when Maekar made you display your allegiance to him.
You intend to ward them to me, or...?
No, not at all. But perhaps they might visit Starpike and see a true castle. And bring you perhaps more gifts of more swords, or I don't know, whatever you might like from the Red Mountains. Or perhaps you might like to visit here. Enjoy some peace and visit the tree that has seen so much and tell its stories. True stories. Because the gods do see everything.
Fucking hell, Charlie. Right. I want you to roll.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
roll
give
for
her a
mind
bonus dice.
games!
Yeah, right. Roll your test for me.
Right.
And have 2 bonus dice, because fuck me.
Yeah, seriously.
Alright, so
Always.
persuasion, convince.
Susie's...
I don't think I lied.
Is this convince, or did you want to charm him? Remember that the outcome is based on the technique as well.
Yeah. Well, now that I've heard that he doesn't want to go to the battle, Marzia is very afraid for him if he doesn't go to the battle. So I feel like her agenda kind of shifted slightly to, oh my god, please don't go to Highgarden because Maekar will lose his shit.
All right. Convince.
Convince. Okay. I mean, I'm happy to roll charm. But...
It's the technique you want to do, and to be honest, I think there was a lot of convincing in there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll convince. I think that's close as what she was ended up doing.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
13. I'm gonna use lucky and re-roll that.
Oh, there we go.
Do I get my bonus dice again?
Yes.
On the roll?
You re-roll the whole pool.
18. That's better.
That's better.
That's better.
It is still just only 2 degrees of success.
That's okay. But it uses my will, so that's 10.
Oh. Yep, he's out. I was quite taken by the story as well, and all the kind of like you were letting him into the gruesome details and stuff. So yeah, he's like intrigued by that, and he's taken in by the kind of some of the alliance that you want to forge here. For dramatic effect, did you want Kiri to pop in and kind of chat to her about the sword?
Yeah, perhaps she's been kind of like hovering in the background, and she'll now beckon Kiri forward.
Yeah.
My lord, this is our blacksmith, swordsmith. Perhaps you would like to give her the specifications of the weapon you would like. I'm told the sword must suit its master. And she's looking at Kiri like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Please help.
Kiri puts forward, wait, she's Northern, right?
Yes.
Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me? Because now Susie's going to hate me forever.
Welcome to Sam's Wheel of Accents today on.
Yeah. Get my York voice on. All right. So she says, perhaps, my lord, we can incorporate some of your heraldry into the hilt, perhaps the guard, or something like that. And she, kind of elaborates on that. And I probably kind of, takes him off, or
maybe we'll walk down towards the smiths and we'll go past the wall of the devoted. And I think Marzia kind of lays a hand on it, like, when you drag your fingers across like a railing or a fence as you walk past it, it's kind of like that, but with like the names. Because she feels a little bit sick for the story she just told. She didn't enjoy it as much as she kind of pretended to enjoy it, although it was all the truth. So just a regrounding with her house. I'm sorry, Bam.
Oh, mate. All right.
And then if he seems engaged, she would leave them to discuss it. Cause...
Yeah. He definitely is. But let's just like my mum, as she is based on my mum, Lady Rosanna is a little impatient and is very kind of like, okay, let her now. Yes, we this is to have business still, because she's very much like that.
Yeah, I think I catch like Rosanna hovering out the back door out the corner of my eye, and I'm like, all right, that's where I'm going now.
Yeah, I mean, so okay, I'm just because I was trying to channel my mum. So basically, I think she comes up to you in the corridor as you're saying, and she's not imposing on the situation as you look at the names of the devoted that have died on the wall. But her first question out of her lips is, "Have you had the letter read yet?"
No, grandmother. I was consulting with Lord Peake, showing him the wayward tree and discussing what is to come. Let's go to my chamber. I'd rather not stay outside much longer.
Yeah, okay. And you head up to your quarters. There in the crib lies Bryn, and Braith is sat crocheting. Why not?
Mm-hmm. It's a good hobby. I support
Yeah,
this.
right, there we go.
So Marzia goes to that. I always imagine she's got like a window seat, and she's fallen asleep there a couple of times, so I'm assuming it's still there. So she'll go and sit there and recline, and she'll kind of turn to the baby in that dark wood crib and smile. Bryn, your sister has written us a letter. Shall we hear it? And she's like back in the really not in the mood for this, grandmother, but as you've insisted, all right.
Wow, you've been around my house. My parents visited. Right. Cool. So she sits in a chair that she pulls up towards the center of the room, and she sits and reads it to the room, essentially. Dear Marzia, I don't know if you will even read this letter. Just knowing it is from me may be enough for you to toss it into the fire, and for that I won't blame you. If you read any of the words I write, please know I am heartbroken over the loss of Oliver, and as his intended, please know I give you my deepest sympathies. At the very least, know that I am sorry for the events that transpired that night. I did not know of Alistair's intentions. If I had, perhaps the terrible events may never have come to pass. Please tell my brothers I love them, and if you see my sister again, tell her the same. Please don't let them remember me as a monster. Marzia, I am with child. Only now can I understand the joy you felt when you first knew you were expecting. I don't know what the future might hold, but I would hope that one day we might reconcile so that our children won't have to deal with the same old hatreds and blood feuds that so many of the great houses around us are still crippled by. I would like my child to meet the woman who became a mother to me and showed me how to care for people. Everything I know about being a mother comes not just from my own, but from the woman who will one day forgive me for events that I had no control over at the time, and can understand why I had to go with Alistair. I hope you don't forget the woman I am, your friend, and your daughter. I will always try to aid House Greenmont if it is within my power. I forget you not. I hope that one day you might allow me to visit home, but if not, I understand. If I can do anything to make it right between us, even if I cannot make it right between the houses Greenmont and Oakheart, and it is within my power, I would. I'm so sorry, Marzia. With all my deepest sympathies and regrets, your daughter Mara. Well,
Perhaps we should await a verdict from Highgarden before responding. In all of the short years that I've known Mara, she has said many, many things, but none of them have been lies. No, I don't think she knew. Not guilty of Oliver's end, perhaps. But how would it appear if I were to welcome someone who had trespassed so greatly against Greenmont and its people? She is Sir Alistair's wife. If there are to be any. It's very complicated. It's not like stealing Lenneman cakes before dinner. That was Myriad's trick. I don't know what I should say to her. I agree with her hope that perhaps we shall be able to move past things and leave a lot of these quarrels behind us. But I do believe that Alistair is behind much of the darkness that has happened here. With his hatred of the Dornish. With his friends from Highgarden.
No, his lordship is remaining rather quiet.
A problem for another day,
it was
perhaps.
His son that was here, was it not?
It was. He was here before the attack on Vulture's Roost, if you remember. He is still, I believe, truthful is not enough. Should Mara ever decide to leave Alistair Oakheart and return to Greenmont, then we shall consider, perhaps. I don't wish to start a war with her. But for now, we are at war with the Oakhearts. And depending on Highgarden's decision, that may change or it may not. Healing takes time.
Does that mean that you intend, if the outcome, whatever they are doing at Highgarden, it goes against us poorly out of your favour, that you would seek some kind of martial retribution for what's happened. War is not a light thing to say about another house of this realm.
Martial retribution is war for men. I am not a man.
I mean, what would you do?
I don't know yet. We'd need more counsel, more options. Right now we are caught between dragons and mountains. I did not take agreeing to Prince Maekar's plan lightly, but I do believe thoughts of Salistria easily. Now I am here. I am hoping for a moment or two of peace, solitude to do so. And we need a strong ally. I have publicly announced that Talia is my enemy in that letter that Babblebrook wrote. I don't know why His Grace needs me, but he has asked me. But I am certain that I need His Grace. We are out of allies.
You look very tired. You should go to bed. Rest. You've been on the road for however long.
If you feel that you should, perhaps write a note to Mara from yourself. I fear she might pay too.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Or perhaps she too might benefit.
Perhaps His Grace may even bring Gund home.
As long as they are safe and looked after, that should be enough for the time.
Well, as long as you can prove your loyalty.
We shall see. I have intentions to prepare healing supplies. We do not have healers here, not many. Braith has been training very hard. But they will be necessary. And if we...
An interesting thing, actually.
Yes.
Where normally you can...
There's a whole unit that's a support unit, but
There
we
is.
don't have one of those.
Yeah, we don't. And I was just thinking along those lines. I'm thinking actually that normally you can improve armor and weapons of a unit by spending wealth, and there are a couple of wealth points that the house has that could be invested in such a thing that I thought maybe you would maybe want to put into Maekar's forces. You were thinking about maybe actually helping him and kind of with the forge and with the weapon smithing that the house has. But like we could do something for a support unit, because I was thinking of like a support unit at least, and he'd certainly have some engineers as well, and you'd know this from traveling with them. So he'd have some siege engineers. And an army really kind of needs a support unit in a way as people like a test dice for healing later on or something.
Okay.
If you wanted, so that you're not necessarily giving them money, but that wealth expenditure could be healing
It's
supplies.
investing in the actual supplies, right?
Yeah. Even procuring them from the local area or from like, even just traders coming through, you know. So it could well be that. So if you wanted to do that, so normally we've got here each point spent on a unit increases its AR, its fighting damage, or its marksmanship damage. So each point could be a test dice.
Okay.
Like I said, you've got a couple.
So it's kind of like multi-classing the unit, right? Or hybriding.
So support units, if I can very quickly see them.
Because I feel like that's more of a Marzia thing to do almost than arming them up with every sword we have, although she will take the swords.
Yeah. It's cool. And then so support. Yeah, support has animal handling, endurance, and healing. So it's not that it would be. It would basically be like a bit like a Destiny point spend. Because that's where I'm kind of thinking glory will be. When we take a look at it, that it will be like a Destiny point spend effect rather than a burn effect.
Okay, so if I put the wealth into the archers then, and then use the glory on
archers, as we did earlier, and then there's a couple of spare wealth points, I am sure. Let me double check.
I know we gained one. Yeah, I would like to, if we can, invest that into
Of course.
the healing stuff.
Do you want all 3 points invested in it?
No, 2.
2?
2. We'll keep 1.
Cool. Yeah. I'll just rather on the sheets we've got. I'll write this down just to remind me.
Because 1 test dice in healing does fuck all. We need 2.
Yeah. So this is going into Makar's support unit. And they're going to get 2 test dice that they could use. We could elect to use them for healing tests after the battle.
Yeah.
But you can substitute a support unit's
Endurance
healing,
for healing test.
right?
Yeah.
So it's that we're
makes
basically
sense.
helping out. But it's -2 wealth.
I'm just waiting for all the Greenmonts to yell at me in private chat. Spending our money on what?
Yeah. So for House of Fortune, I'll put this into this month, the Ice Dragon month, actually.
Okay.
So it's going to be
infrastructure.
We already had Wage War on here anyway.
Okay. That's cool.
So it's going to be, because we did this just before the beginning of the season. So it's going to be a net -1 because you had a point of wealth come into the house this month, but takeaway 2 is going to be a net of -1. So you've still got a wealth point that is available.
Yeah.
You could put on maybe 1 competition of a tournament.
One tilt is all.
Yeah, you get one go.
And then off the green.
Where are you going to have a tournament in the middle?
We're slowly going to have very famous archers. Apparently, our house is the 2nd best archer in the 7 Kingdoms.
Just not the archer, unfortunately.
Well, we'll see.
Poor old Tom. Cool. All right. I would like to do one last thing before we move back over to Ironwood. I would like to settle Marzia down to sleep and make a will test to slip into Salastria's body. Difficulties her passive will.
I mean, I can do it for free because I'm a full warg, but I'll roll it because she's tired.
Heck no, you're in.
Oh, okay.
Wag.
Wag.
Full wag. All right, so you sleep and you put yourself into that mindset of heading into Salastria, and you join her face down in a rabbit as she's gnashing away and eating and crunching bone and ligament and everything as it all goes down. And you look around and you are on the edge of the Red Mountains. Beyond, to your front and left, there is this bay of glistening sea that is bouncing off the bright moonlight of the night. It's quite clear night in dawn. You've been through these nights yourself as your human form, and you know them to be cold, but Salastria's fur warms you and protects you from the night air. You can see on a kind of downward slope, then just in the distance, there is probably a league away at least, there is a quite a thick river, whatever the opposite of narrow is when it comes to rivers. A wide river heading into the sea, with a bridge heading south off of it. Thank you, Tom. And you can just make out the settlement of what you know to be Ironwood itself. You don't get her memories, do you? Because like she's kind of there in the back of the behind, kind of in the back of your head, or like behind you. Thick river. I mean, you are here free in the night. The kind of, so she is on the edge of Ironwood. Whatever Marzia
and confused and disorientated, because the last she'd seen Salastria, she was injured. Marzia had told her to wait in that cave by Vulture's Roost, and she's peering across the dark, across this river towards Ironwood, like, that's not Vulture's Roost. Where are we? And I imagine Oliver has described his home a number of times, so she could maybe intuit from there.
Yeah, I'm happy.
That has to be Ironwood. But how does Salastria figure this out when I couldn't? Like, she has a brief moment of, how is the cat smarter than me? And then she's like, well, everyone's smarter than me right now. What happens? Here we go. And then I think she stretches. She does a cat stretch to check Salastria's body.
You stretch out. I got this down because Sophia comes in here, and before she looks at me, especially if she's just got off the bed, our bed next, they're just like, it's such a weird thing. And Salastria's spine elongating out. It's a very gratifying stretch. Time.
It is pure nighttime, like it's called.
But it is well lit in terms of the moon, so Salastria can see very well. Color is hard to differentiate for cats and for big cats as well, I think. So you can't make out some of the tones and saturation as you might do normally, but you can see quite precisely as well. There's no penalty to you trying to see anything.
So she stretches, and then I think she yawns because Marzia's tired.
In that tower, inside that tower,
Bryar would sure as fuck hope there wouldn't be a fire lit in that tower. That
Greenmont dice.
Hello, Greenmont dice.
I trust you. Definitely trust you with that facial expression.
Salastria. Awareness. And a 2.
It sounds so weird. What one thing, smell-wise, does Marzia have reminded of?
Would be the Maria.
And that's on the air for whatever reason we want to invent, really. It's so, whether it's a scent that... no, she's been through the sea, hasn't she?
Might I offer a solution?
Go on.
The package that we had, the dress that was made out of the Shawani, what if it was, I don't know.
She can smell Oliver instead, or her own perfume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And perhaps maybe it was packed with like lemon rinds to keep it fresh. I don't know. Medieval people do
little pouch of lavender and lemon rind.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure. Bit of potpourri.
That's the smells that Miria likes, right? Sure.
There we go.
I mean, yeah, she did package up the little letter. Good. And I think she just streaks past Rob and into the tower. If he decides we're not good, I'm just going to move really fucking fast.
You
because I ache from that that road from that trip. And she'll push to get up to Maria.
Okay, it's literally a couple of paces. It's a very cramped little room, but you're up by her as she sleeps. Are you kind of, will you be resting here, or
I
have you other
think
intent here?
Yeah, I think it begins of like Marzia just moves to kind of like curl the cat body around Maria protectively, and she's watching an alert on the door, and she's hoping that someone's gonna say something to explain what the fuck is going on and where everyone else is. But I think that
doing that cat stare.
Yeah,
Just
she's still probably slightly bloody on the face, but we won't talk about that too much.
It's grooming time, and then it's sleep time. Now she's eaten. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I think then, given that kind of Marzia in a way probably would kind of start to let Celestri kind of take over, and she would kind of like take a back seat, as it were.
Yeah, she kind of becomes like just a witness rather than a driver.
Before she slowly kind of just
passenger. That's the word.
Passenger. Before she slowly kind of descends into sleep and rest. Sure. You do spy a little bit further down the way towards the castle, but even within the town, still not being very nice about it either. And then closer to you, starting to move towards the tavern, is a group of 3 guards who are all wearing the colours. Well, actually, a couple of them are wearing the colours of House Ironwood, and another one, it doesn't look so much like a guard with typical kind of, spear and pointed helm. This guy looks a little bit more sergeanty, but is wearing the yellow and red colours of Gargalen, with the cockerel on his tabard. As he, darker skin, a dark brown hair and moustache.
Just to see what was headed on,
Sure. As you head down, the barkeep is literally just finishing up for the day, just wiping some stuff down, and also washing some of the jugs when there's a hammering on the wooden front door. He says he's closed, and then the guard says they declare themselves, and he says, I'll be there in a minute, and then there's more hammering as he's kind of slowly making his way towards the door. Is there anything you'd like to do here?
Not directly back to back with him, but like
onto a table, breaking one of the benches in the process. The guards step forward and immediately stand aside, please.
Just go to the bar at that point.
As they walk up the stairs, you can hear the screams of people.
You're looking for men in armor. You're looking for Dornish men in armor. I will say, I probably brought down my shield, at the very least.
Are you holding your shield as you're talking to these guys all the time?
And like, okay, hey, let's try not to do this.
Oh, what? So, is it like an actual benefit, danger sense?
Yeah, danger sense is well, it applies to surprise attacks. But wait a minute, actually, if I'm not mistaken, danger sense also lets me re-roll ones on quickness checks.
Oh,
hang on, let me double check here.
I wanted to apply in this situation anyway, so why don't you re-roll anyway? Re-roll that one.
Sure, I'll re-roll that one. Why don't I re-roll that one? Re-roll 1d6.
Oh no.
So that's a 4.
Well, no, it's still a 5, but yeah. Or a 4 for the penalty of the armor. Let me have a look at their armor a sec. Armor penalty 3, so they're going on an 8.
Oh no, I have an armor penalty of 3 as well. Never mind. Or well, wait a minute. Do I have my armor on? Hang on. Who's on first?
Do you have your armor on?
Yes.
Oh, but this was kind of a getaway, right? You don't have your shield right now because, like, otherwise I'm gonna have to retcon this, and they're just gonna have to fight you straight away because a guy like standing there with a shield as they enter the inn, they're gonna be like, get him.
I don't have a destiny point, so just go.
All right, okay. So with no shield, but it's all right. Dags only. He is going to make a short blades attack. As he gets a knife and just slashes at you with it. So this is 11 against your combat defense. Yeah. All right. Agility -2. Congrats, Sam. You've played this game for far too long. Agility 3 minus. Yeah. 1 damage. No 6s, so no crit.
1 whole point of damage.
Yeah. Daggers, yo.
Okay. I'll take that point of damage.
All right. So he's slashed at you. Well, bear in mind your armor rating will soak whatever the.
Well, but we ruled that I'm not in my armor.
No, I thought we did. You just didn't have the shield.
Oh, well then, never mind. I take nothing because my armor has an armor rating of 8.
Shit. All right. Cool. So then he's slashed at you, and I imagine that maybe you've got something kind of covering it a bit. And as he's gone to slash you, it like clinks against the Brigadine, right?
Yes.
So it clinks against the Brigadine that is underneath, obviously, the padded part of that Brigadine armor, and he's just like the face screams shit. He doesn't actually say anything, but you know it's like, oh. And these boys are gonna try and rush you. One of them actually wielding a sword this time. Let's do some long blades here. 18 versus your combat defense. So bear in mind, if you're wearing your armor, the armor penalty will apply.
Oh, fuck.
It auto-calculates on the sheet, so providing you haven't got your defensive bonus in there from your shields, then that number should be correct.
Well, I also have a -1 because of agility flaw, but 8. So 2 degrees of success, I think.
3.
3?
Yeah. So if your combat defense is 8, did you say?
Yes.
So 8, 9, 10, 11 is 1 degree. No, 12. 12 is 1 degree. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 is 2 degrees, and 18 is the third degree. So with a sword, let's see if this works properly. Nope, I did spear. Well done, Sam. Long blade is athletics +1. Long sword, athletics +1. No qualities. So that is going to be 15 damage. Are you muted again? Or have I dropped all?
No, that was me. 15 minus cool. 15 minus 8. That's going to be 7, right? Coming through.
Yeah, I'm good with maths.
Ow, that's a lot.
So taking injury will reduce that damage by whatever your endurance rank is.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take 1 injury, and that'll be -4. So 3 get through.
Okay, cool. Describe for me just what's the injury like? Where does he get you? That just like this is just a flesh wound. This is just like a scrape. So where is that? Do you think?
Whatever angle that he's going, he's going to be.
I think he's having to he's either have to kind of uppercut around his mate, or he's kind of having to come down on you as you kind of maybe twist, and it's just a kind of glance off the shoulder or something.
Yeah, this is sort of a Tarj move where it's like bat the sword out of the way on the flat of it and get back.
Yeah, sure. Okay. The Gargalan sergeant behind doesn't actually join the fray, but he is obviously drawing a sword now. It's kind of like a shorter sword that he's got armed with. That's not the kind of saber that these guys have got. Okay, so
Hold it up in front with sword still in scabbard, but hand on hilt.
sure. This is very close quarters kind of stuff. You shoulder barge your way past the guy, get into the room, and I'm going to say that you kind of. So you're basically now like in your room with this shield up, and you can, if you want to, you can probably get
in the room just so there's a little bit more versatility and it's not just them just hammering. So yeah, just waiting for them to make a decision.
Sure. Okay. So they head in, and as they scream yield as they approach you and as they go to strike. I'm essentially we'll do a very quick little action economy. I'll ready in action if you don't convince. Yeah.
Bing bing. 11 with a 6.
Okay. I'm gonna say okay, yeah, okay. So with the evidence presented before them, and because you beat their passive will, they are going to pause in the door and look at you and look at the shield.
Now, I don't know if you know the Lady Marzia Greenmont. She is a terrifying individual. So, if one of her guard were to end up dead in Ironwood, I would pray, I would hope to whatever god you think you know, that she'd be merciful.
At this point, the sergeant stepped in. I suggest you pack up your things and leave. I will get the barkeep to refund you your. They won't like. They won't manhandle you, but they will like.
If either of the younger guys try to touch me, I will hit them with the shield.
Right. With the Warg and Greenseer stuff.
Yeah. So I have an idea for how we could frame this, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
I think the next morning, Marzia had like a really deep sleep. Really deep. So she fell out asleep and was dead to the world, essentially.
For sure.
Is it? I'm imagining it's in some sort of cage.
Yeah.
So Marzia's gonna take that cage, if it's a kind that she can remove from the room.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna take it out to the Godswood.
Sure.
She'll take a light in the other hand, a candle, lantern, something like that, and a raven in this hand. And she's gonna set the raven down on the log before the weirwood tree.
Yeah.
And set the candle to the side of it. And then she's gonna look between the raven and the tree. And she's gonna spend some time trying to figure out how she gets into Salastria's head, and can she do that with the raven? And like that's kind of her process. Kind of hops in the cage and turns towards that weirwood tree, and she says in the bird's mind this prayer to the old gods. I don't know what I'm doing or how long this is going to last. And she's thinking how strange this is. This is not right. This isn't the body she should be in. This isn't either of the bodies she should be in. And I am learning far too quickly that I need to be more dependent on myself. And this is all I have. And she says a quick prayer, and she asks for the soldier to watch over Rob and Bryar and Alfred, for the mother to watch over Mara, and for the father to watch over Miria. And then she asks for the old gods to watch over her and to help her.
And you are looking and regarding the heart tree of this godswood, and its mouth turns from a kind of outward scream into a wide gasp of air, and you can feel that pull and that wind almost sucking you into the tree, and in a haze and a confusion, you now see several men at night with torches and all dressed in black leathers and furs, and each one of them saying in unison, "I am the watcher on the walls. I am of a maester who'd thrown off his chains." And then I heard it again, told on the streets of Old Town. My vines followed the tale and brought it here, from Old Oak to High Garden, where a young bride and her brother came to stay. "I hope this letter bears no ill news," she says as she hands down a letter to the young man with kind of sandy brown hair. And then you are in a courtyard of an old First Men keep, and and there's a boy there stood practicing archery. He's maybe 8 or 9 years old, and he's skinned by a woman, slender and meek with curly brunette hair and soft caring features. And she speaks to him softly that they will be back at King's Landing soon, and not to fret, that this is his home as much as the Red Keep is, and that they will be back. Looking back at that seat, but things are different. The flowers are different. The hedge is slightly thinner behind.
And I think she is realizing just how much the tree has seen, more than she's even processed, and the other trees, and it is all connected. And I think she just yells out, or she tries to yell out, "Brynden Rivers, Marzia Greenmont," because she can't process everything that's just happened. She just has her name and his name. And I just punched my mic, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's insane.
And you wake up with a rush, and a tingle rolls down your spine as you feel the words leave whatever your lips might have been in this.
Or the bird that she brought is forgotten. The bird in her mind is that bird, that red eye that she's seen, and the crane that she's seen, and the raven that she felt had been mocking her every time it had appeared and challenging her. And I think she moves forward to the tree to lay her hands once more upon its face. And she's kind of muttering and whispering, processing, but over and over she's just saying both of their names and begging for help. But it's quiet. She doesn't want people to come running to her, because she remembers how Salistria had come to her on the night she'd given birth to the twins. And she'd remembered that she's been surrounded by people this entire time, and this is kind of the first time she's really been alone for a while, but she doesn't want to be alone because she wants him. And it's just kind of in a manic post-nightmare kind of feeling that she's kind of half crying and begging, and just their names over and over, hoping that it's going to really get to him.
There are moments in my childhood where, and I think this is quite a shared experience, where you're either trying to will something, or you're doing that like kind of repetition and stuff to try and make something happen, or to try and, like, you know, kind of the little spark of magic is real that's still with you. And you do that for a while, don't you? And then, like, nothing happens. And you're like, okay. And then maybe you're on to the next thing, and maybe you forget really quickly, but you try that for a while until you give up. And there is no other answer than what you saw.
And in her defeat, she rests her head against the bark of the tree and closes her eyes and manages to remember herself enough to thank the gods for what they've done and what they're doing. And then she runs through the 7 and says a full set of prayers to the 7 as well. And then just kind of stumbles back to sit on the log And I think in her own mind, she tries to talk to Lucas, who's just somewhere in front of her, and to Oliver. And then she judges through her own memories for a little while until the sky does begin to lighten with the true dawn here. And then she'll collect the raven, sneak back into the hall to return it to where it should be.
And I think the final shot that Marzia doesn't see for herself, but as she leaves that raven on the solar and she turns and starts to walk out of the room, the raven looks back with a single red eye back and like take a look at whatever was going to happen in the morning and stuff. So we'll regroup the little team towards the end of not the end, the beginning of the next session they're all together at. Cool. Thank you very much, fam. That was a very cool bit to write because I got to put a lot of things together and honest to God quoted some bits from episodes that we had done yonks ago. Yeah, I thank you. I want to thank Google. I want to thank Google for having a little search within document function. There's one just beyond the wall that the Night's Watch pledge at if they're from the north. And within the, like, speaking meta, there is a fucking weirwood tree in the middle of Blackwood's Keep, which is where Brynden Rivers is from.
And isn't it part of their like house heraldry as well? It's
So-
the tree with the crow or something.
Yeah, it's their whole
surrounded
shit,
by
yeah.
ravens.
Yeah.
Like yeah. It's a whole thing. In a previous campaign, I had the gang because it was a Riverlands game. I had them visit, and I think it's canonical as well that ravens basically roost there on this weirwood tree like every night. So it's a bit The Birds, do you know, like Alfred Hitchcock, where
It's like that bit with Samuel
there.
Tarly when the White Walkers come in and that tree just
Yeah.
fills with fucking ravens.
That's a fucking Tuesday for Blackwood.
Blackwood is super spooky, like in so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, it's super cool. Thanks so much, friends. That was awesome. I do really enjoy smaller sessions and like getting to focus in on people's stories and their actions and stuff. You know, I found it a little hard with the guards. I didn't just want to be, oh, let's have a fight then, but I guess they did. You know, the kind of posturing and some of the stuff that was very well intentioned. I feel, obviously, they weren't too happy with. Should shanked him, mate. Shanked one on the way out. Do you know what I mean?
I have, contrary to popular belief, Bryar has a survival instinct. So I was really riding that sort of halfway point of like, do I actually intervene? Do I just let this slide?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it because it's a
Yeah.
complete antithesis of Murder Hobo. It is like I don't want to kill people. Like, do I get involved? No,
Well, yeah,
fuck
because
it.
you
Like,
kill people,
you know.
yeah, then they imprison you, and it doesn't matter how charming you are. Like, he wanted to get Daemon out, but like that was a completely different matter from guards flipping over tables and harassing people. Like, there's a point where you have to say, okay, I've got to get myself out of here and hope that other people do too.
Yeah, but Susie made a very good point in chat. It was a super cool little point where it's like within the meta, like it's kind of an indicator that some Brotherhood made it out as well, like because they're looking for people.
Wish that meant something to Bryar.
For sure, right? But yeah, so
yeah, that's the thing. It's like these are markers of good news, but we're gonna have to see how that plays out, because as there have been people who have escaped, there was one really important one who didn't roll high enough, let's say.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do a quick who are we and where are we on the internet kind of stuff. Charlie, anything got coming up?
Coming up, we have a couple of exciting things in Encounter Roleplay. We took a week off last week, but we're back in action this week, and we're heading towards the end of season So in the next few weeks, it's a ton of finales. On Monday. The other thing I'd like to mention is on May the 4th, there are rumors that we're doing another Star Wars one-shot. Our last one was so much fun. And
the
I'm
director of the channel
excited.
says that there are rumors that it's happening. Okay.
I'm a good spy master, all right?
All
I
right,
pretend
Charlie,
like what I'm saying isn't news. But yeah, okay, we're doing our May the 4th Star Wars one-shot, and I'm very excited about it, and I hope people can watch it.
Boom!
Boom! I hope people can watch it, because the last one was so much fun. It's a killer cast, people, and that's going on. And then if you like Game of Thrones next season, we're doing the Night's Watch in a little show I'm calling The Wall. So yeah, that's coming up.
So where's that based, Charlie?
That also is on Encounter Roleplay.
No, okay. I meant in the world, no.
Oh.
It was a joke, and it didn't land, don't worry.
Tyrosh?
I aimed for funny and I missed.
Sorry. I'm too busy thinking about the mindfuck you just took me on. I want to say big shout out. My favorite moment of the session. That bullshit just then. That was it. I enjoyed a lot of the session. Marzia, like her, I was going to say sisters, but like Miria, Angie girl. And kind of caught between two hard places and Angie about it.
No talk me,
but
Angie.
That's not that. I will say this game is really hard when you have like a meta of I don't like Makar or what he's doing, but Marzia has a completely different disposition. So
yeah. No, props to you for that too. That's fucking awesome.
Fun of mechanics.
Nice, cool. Jason, how about you?
Oh, how about me?
How about you?
This was fantastic. I'm so glad I was able to sort of spot check. Miss Dawn, Miss Susie, wherever y'all are at, the Dornish crew will get back together, hopefully sooner rather than later. But as it stands, I'm so happy that I was able to be here. So happy to